Viking paradigm. Yeah. Women just want the weak man, AKA the cuttlefish, men to snitch on themselves so they don't need to waste more time. It's in their DNA. Yeah, it is. That's a good observation. Is male vulnerability a shit test? Are you going to knuckle under? That goes back to lets you and him fight. You guys know what I'm talking about with lets you and him. It's a dynamic. By the way, this was like called out by pickup artists a long time ago. Lets you and him fight is a shit test, or it's a dynamic that women will use to test to see if that guy is who he really is. Like if a woman like sort of gets with the guy, oh, this is my boyfriend, right? Sometimes you'll see women who are not, they don't have a solid attachment, right? They don't have a healthy attachment to the boyfriend. These are the guys who will, geez, I can't believe I'm going to say that. These are the guys who that woman just simply does, like, he's not the best I can do. Like the hypergamous doubt gets the best of her. So there has to be this test to see, is he really, is he not? And usually what happens is then women will instigate situations, conflict situations where that guy will have to deal with the conflict that she generated. Like she'll go talk shit to somebody, like somebody, like maybe it's at a club, maybe it's a bouncer, maybe it's just somebody in a park or some shit like that, whatever, just to give them shit because she's with you and she knows that you're going to have to be the one to settle the conflict that she started. And I really need to do like a full dedicated show about this because I mean, I think there's a lot there, but the old school pickup artists used to call this lets you and him fight. And so it was, if you had a girlfriend or you had this girl that was like, you know, one girl that was in your rotation, that girl or that woman would try to initiate some shit. You talk some shit, right? Hoping that your capacity for violence would surface so she could know whether or not you're a pussy, right? Whether or not she's with the guy who's the best that she can do. Will you defend me? Will you protect me? Will you kick this guy's ass? Well, I can't sit around and wait for an organic moment of conflict. So I'm going to go and instigate one myself to see if you're really the shit or you're not. Now, in today's society, that can get kind of dangerous, especially you add alcohol and people get shot. people get knifed. People get beat the fuck up. Get beat down. They get put to sleep. And that's so is that the vulnerability side? What is that? I think that also kind of plays into the vulnerability thing. Like, well, is this guy really who he says he is? Because, you know, this doesn't seem like that big a deal. And he's really crying his eyes out over it, or he's had a setback. I think there's a better example than what like Chris Williamson was giving us here. I think a better example would have been like, I think it was Alex Hormozy who said this, is that he got to the point where one of his like first companies went bankrupt, and he was feeling down about himself. He was like, I think he was not married at that time, but the girl, his wife now, it was his fiance then. And he said something like, you know, if you leave me now, I will totally understand. Like he was like really upfront and like logical, pragmatic about the whole thing. He said, I understand. He's like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. If you want to leave, fine. And then of course she says, oh, you got zeroed out. You're going to come back, blah, blah, blah. She stuck with him. And that was like the virtue signaling, right? That was the buildup to all of it. But the fact of the matter is like his first inclination, even Alex Hormozy was like, you know, if you leave, I got it. I totally understand. I get what you're saying. Right. So in that sense, in that instance, like I get it. Like guys want to give up, guys who just sort of like want to give up on themselves, or they get depressed. Like guys are not allowed to get depressed around women, period. End of story. Competence is a key attraction cue for women, and vulnerability, even flashes of vulnerability, are signs of incompetence, failure, incompetence. Well, we're humans. We should be able to. Yeah, we are, but we're also machines. We're also like, there's still that tribalistic nature. Like this guy's a liability. You want to know why when women make more money than a guy, like they're in a marriage and like the woman gets a promotion or something, and she starts making more money than the guy, and that's the precursor to divorce. That's because it implies incompetence. I'm going and I'm surrounded by guys who are more competent than the guy that I'm with right now. And equal partner or not, he's no longer an equal partner if she's making more money, because her hindbrain, her lizard brain, as we were saying before, and her emotional brain too, I'm sure, looks at him as a liability. Would women say, oh, men are just big children after all, you know that? Yeah, well, they look at you that way because now those children, because what are children? They're dependents, they're liabilities. If she knows you are emotionally vulnerable, she will start to use the kid against you in divorce court, of course, to extort more money out of the husband. Yeah. Well, that's, you suddenly become the biggest dick in the world at that point.